On the first official day of the campaign, what did each of the politicians do?
Just wanted to do that.
Cameron went to Buckingham Palace to ask for Parliament to officially be dissolved.
Did Miliband go to the palace as well?
No, he gave a speech
Pays his £8 and had a look around the picture.
Miliband gave a speech to business leaders, while Nick Clegg actually went to a hedgehog sanctuary.
Of course, yeah.
Something that he soon regretted.
Really poorly. She got maggots in every orifice.
So she could no longer look after the hedgehog.
I like these animals.
I do.
I'm just saying, why do the Liberals choose a hedgehog? And even Mrs Thatcher, do you remember she grabbed a cow?
Yeah.
And did Miliband have an animal? Did he not join in?
I haven't got one.
I would have liked him seen with a massive tarantula on his face. Farage didn't do an animal thing, did he?
Not that I know of, but...
He met with Joey Essex, which was similar. Maybe he thinks Joey Essex is a baby kangaroo.
On the subject of food, what were the Germans astonished by? And
What, this week?
Yes.
Something that we eat that they find astonishing.
Well, something that David Cameron ate. I'm going to attempt my...
Haggis.
Best German accent
Oh,
now.
OK, go on then.
I've never taken a lesson of German, so this is probably offensive.
Yeah.
Right. Just think of it as an audition.
Thanks.
Next.
Wahlkampf in Großbritannien. David Cameron isst Hotdog mit Besteck. Shocking.
Just bring it down a bit.
Okay. Gott in Himmel, Cameron isst einen Hotdog mit Messer und Gabel. Türfel. So, that translates loosely as Cameron eats a hot dog with a knife and fork, which was something that he did this week, which...
Oh, yeah, because he was scared of the whole bacon sandwich thing, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten anything with your hands, Ian?
Yes, I believe I ate an apple.
Episode of the demise of Theresa May, who's gone from being the Iron Lady to a sort of flatter version, like the Ironed Lady, instead.
So nothing is happening. There was a big coup. We thought we were going to get, you know, a new Prime Minister, but no.
It's a bit like a very dull, slow Attenborough, isn't it? Where the same wounded wildebeest just keeps limping across the plain. And the hyenas can't quite get organised enough to kill her off. Basically what it is now.
Yes, it's about the week of plotting and infighting in the Tory party. There was speculation this week that Theresa might demote Boris Johnson in a reshuffle. Why might that not work?
He said he won't be demoted.
That's absolutely right. According to The Telegraph, allies of Boris warned that if May tried to demote him, he would just say no. We learned more about the principal stance Boris Johnson took when he decided to back Brexit last year. What was that?
Well, he confessed to someone that he changed his mind and became a leaver just to annoy Cameron.
Yeah.
Sorry.
He confessed it in an interview.
Yes, well, according to the Mail, so... Do you call that an interview?
Can we edit that bit out so people believe it?
Yeah. Well, according to a reputable paper...
Can we edit that bit out as well? It was to Lord Adonis.
Lord Adonis.
Can you imagine being called Lord Adonis?
Hey.
It's quite a lot to live up to in the morning.
Lord Adonis. That's my safe word. I'm only joking. You're never safe with me. What else does Suella Braverman want to ban?
Homeless people? Tents. People using tents.
That's right. I mean, if she was just trying to ban camping, I'd be behind her.
But then you'd have to word that bill very carefully.
You would. You would.
There'd be a lot of pantomime to be out of business.
That's right.
I'm on in Richmond this year, by the way.
Yes, she is trying to ban tents. She said sleeping on the streets is a lifestyle choice. Nobody in Britain should be living in a tent. It's a surprise that more people don't choose to live in opulence.
Homelessness is a lifestyle choice. It's the last time I buy a big issue. If it can help the homeless, help you live your dream more, like bugger off. loving it.
It wasn't just Boris, was it? I mean, Prince Charles, he's a great champion of sustainability, and he went to COP26, which coincidentally is the number of palaces that the royal family had. And many of them are not used for much of the year, except as safe houses for Prince Andrew. And he also flew down to London on a private flight. He could at least have catched a lift in Boris's private flight, couldn't he? I mean, who does the PR for these people? O.J. Simpson or something?
And Leonardo DiCaprio was there, and he made a big thing about flying commercial.
Yes.
But you're like, he can't write any legislation. Like, what? He could just zoom in. He doesn't need to be there at all.
Yes. He's very interested in protecting the children of the future and girlfriends of the future. Many of whom have yet to be conceived.
In happier football news, why were 240,000 Leicester fans on the street this week?
Because homelessness in Leicester has gone through the roof.
They're very happy.
Yes, delirious.
Yeah, because they've won.
What did they win, Ian?
They've won the thing.
What is the thing called?
They won the Premiership. I know this.
Premier League.
You're not allowed to call it the Premiership, am I right?
Why aren't you allowed to call it the Premiership?
Well, they changed. It was one of those branding things. They changed it quite a few years ago.
Right, I see.
And they get a little bit upset if you call
The
it Premiership.
Premiership's now called Sir David Attenborough.
Yes, they were celebrating Leicester's extraordinary success. There was a performance, actually, from local band Kasabian, a gospel choir singing football songs, and, of course, superfan Lee Jobber with his top off.
Oh, yeah.
I see he's mimicking the trophy from behind by the bulges. Bloody hell. They might get relegated next year. That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
Is Sepp Blatter standing down? Do you think he'll stand down?
He's not the standing down type, I would say.
I think he has support outside of Europe, doesn't he, within the world football, so
Yeah.
he's likely to continue.
Did you hear his defence,
No.
which was along the lines of, I cannot monitor everyone all of the time? You know, the Rebecca Brooks excuse. What happened at the end of Sepp's press conference?
Did he just hand out brown envelopes and say, you know what I mean?
Actually, he signed off his speech ahead of dancing girls coming onto the stage. We must continue to fight for positive change in football, even when some among us let us down. So please enjoy our show.
But it's a triumph for the American justice system. I noticed we did nothing at all.
No.
I mean, Andrew Jennings, brilliant journalist, wrote a book in 2006 about this, called Foul. We've known FIFA, and the Sunday Times turn them over every week, and the Sunday Telegraph. Nothing happens. In America, stealing money is a proper offence.
Yeah.
Dawn raids, 7 of them in Switzerland. Fantastic. Men with FBI suits.
Yeah.
But you're right, they don't muck about, the Americans. If they encounter corporate fraud, if someone's found guilty of corporate fraud, you know, they get jailed. Whereas over here, they instantly get Alzheimer's.
If as a result of his presidency, the world does indeed end, won't it be marvellous to think it happened in our time?
He might change what the word presidential means. Like, in a few years, you'll be going, oh, my uncle fell over and banged his head on a curb. He's been rendered completely presidential.
He dismissed the head of the FBI this week.
Comey, James Comey?
Mr. Comey was dismissed.
Comey over.
Because he was...
Investigating his connections with Russia.
And now there's an inquiry. Who's been put in charge of the inquiry?
They've got a special prosecutor.
A former
Yeah,
head of
former
the
FBI.
FBI.
And then when you open up that special prosecutor, there'll be another little special prosecutor, and open up, there'll be another... and eventually a little bloke saying, did you do it?
Robert Mueller?
He's Robert Mueller, who was the former FBI director. James Comey's done something to get his revenge on Trump. Any idea
He has
what it is?
produced his memo.
Oh,
he
yes,
kept
he
a
should
memorandum.
notes, didn't he?
Yes.
After Trump tweeted that he had kept, or suggested he might have kept a recording of the dinner that took place in February, Comey then came back to say, well, I kept a memorandum.
And he said, will you drop the Russian stuff? So basically, he accused him of literally trying to interfere in the process of justice. And the Americans don't like that very much. So it is all going wrong.
Yeah.
And then the best bit was Putin, who was like, oh, if you want the transcript, we've got one.
How did Trump's administration respond to Comey's leak?
With confusion.
With incredible confusion. According to online news website Daily Beasts, one official said, I felt like running down the hallway with a fire extinguisher.
Anonymous hackers. Are they anonymous? I don't know where they're from.
No, we do know where they're from.
Are they from? Where are they from?
They are from North Korea, it turns out.
Has that been proven?
It's not totally proven. But they're not going to sue me, so I think it probably is North Korea. There's something in the code when it was unhacked indicated that it might have been from North Korea.
Giles, you know way too much about this.
Well,
I think you were
only
involved.
because I did chair the Cybersecurity Awards quite recently. I can't tell you where or when.
Is that security or Alzheimer's?
You know what the virus was called? It was called WannaCry. It demands money before you can get your computer files back.
Oh, it was all in Bitcoins as well.
Bitcoins?
Bitcoins.
No, we've left the European market. They're Bitcoins.
There's been a sort of failure of the government here, hasn't there? Or?
They were warned, I mean, at least 3 years ago, that XP needed updating. But the trouble with the NHS, it spent a lot of money on IT already, about 12 billion, for a system that didn't work. So essentially it doesn't have any money left, so they didn't pay for the update.
We've not upgraded the security properly, and we've been running the NHS on Windows XP, so people have probably been told that they're dying by a helpful paperclip.
I like the idea that as a hacker, you would target for a ransom the NHS.
Yeah.
One of the few world organisations you know doesn't have any money.
Probably given Jeremy Hunt some ideas about how to get money out of it. What must it be like being Jeremy Hunt at the moment? Imagine he goes into hospital. He'll be the first person to have a sprained wrist treated anally. Sorry, Mr. Hunt, this is going to involve a bit of a run-up. Luckily, our computers are down, so there's no record of what's about to happen to you.
This bit of malware was actually stolen from the American National Security Association, you know, which is a misnomer.
Well, I think President Trump gave it away.
Does anyone know what the Russians have said about it? Exactly that.
Well, they're claiming it's not them, because the Russian Interior Ministry was targeted.
That was a decoy.
You're so clever, Giles.
These are just things I picked up at the cybersecurity conference.
The Russians have said this completely
Let's make sure this never happens again, of course. Lord Strath Clyde has announced he's going to do a rapid review into curbing the House of Lords' powers. I'll give you a bonus point if any of you can give me the real name of Lord Strath Clyde.
Bunty.
Is it one of those bonkers long names?
Yes, he's called Thomas Galloway Dunlop Duroy de Bleaky Galbraith. Another man of the people.
Well, he's also got product placement in the middle of his name.
Yes.
He just can't trust the Tories.
Did he change his name in wet weather?
Several of the papers identified one clear supervillain in all this. Who was that?
Well, apart from the obvious one.
Who's the obvious one?
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yes. Mega-rich musical gargoyle, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Musical gargoyle.
He flew in from New York to vote for tax credit cuts. It was his first vote in over 2 years. He's previously voted just 30 times out of a possible 1,898 in 14 years. But he did deny he had flown back specifically for the vote. Does anyone know why he says he was in town?
He was here for an opening of one of his productions somewhere.
A new musical called Cuts.
Yes, he did say he was in town to watch the revival of Cats, the musical. Yeah. But surely he's seen that already. Or maybe he's just got a bad memory. the odd one out round. It's just one between you this week. A dog in Thailand. Scott Mann, MP, Judith Strang from Texas, and Damien Green. Yes?
Now, Scott Mann, colleague of Johnny's,
Yeah.
and I believe there was an incident where Johnny actually saved his life from drowning. So I'm guessing
Well.
that he is perhaps the odd one out in that the other three all float.
Is that right? Did you save his life?
Yeah, I mean, it's just because I thought he had my wallet, actually.
He got sacked from the Tory party, or did he resign?
Damien Green's still an MP. He was Deputy Prime Minister and then had a slight...
There was some porn found on a computer that he had access to, and the other 3 people featured in the film he was watching.
They've all been rescued at sea, apart from Damien Green, who had to be rescued from a river. He was thrown in as part of a student prank while studying at Oxford University. But more recently, who did Damien Green have a run-in with outside Parliament?
Yeah, so there's a set of protesters that are, like, permanently outside Parliament, so that when anyone goes on TV, they just heckle with quite amusing abuse, to be honest, some of it. But obviously some of it's not. And Damien Green came off an interview and met this chap who's dressed in a European flag and told him that in a contested field, you are by far the biggest here.
No.
And he was right.
Let's have a look.
Hello, can I ask how you're feeling about the vote yesterday?
No, you can't, because you've just tried to shout over an interview I've done, like you do everyone else.
I didn't. I was singing.
You are the biggest wanker.
Where did this dog end up at sea?
Australia.
Hawaii. Same 5G company we're talking about.
Not quite. It was spotted last week by oil rig workers in Thailand, 135 miles from shore.
Wow.
Who threw that stick?
Wow.
And finally, where did Judith Strang from Texas end up in the sea?
On holiday, was it? On holiday somewhere?
Yes, she was on a tour of...
The fjords.
She was in Iceland. She sat down on some ice which had formed in the shape of a throne and was promptly carried out to sea.
How hot is her arse?
The iceberg incident happened a couple of weeks ago, after which the accident-prone granny completed her tour of Europe with a trip to Paris, where she lit a candle in Notre Dame.
Happened at Buckingham Palace at precisely 12:30 a.m.
Oh, they're turning the lights off?
They absolutely are.
And all the foreign crews are furious, because their audiences will have just woken up. So when all the American broadcasters want to stand outside Buckingham Palace and say, "Here I am live," it's going to be completely dark. Selfish of us. Why couldn't we time the wedding to be in the middle of the night here, then the Americans could watch? And I hope there are ad breaks, so that NBC can shove in an advert for, what is it, nachos they have?
What is it? According to the Telegraph, Kate has invited her very first boyfriend, Willem Marks.
I like Williams that are too posh to bother with the E bit.
It's very posh.
Willem. What's your name?
Is it Bill, Will, William, Willem? There's even a video wedding book for the public to sign. So let's have a look at some of the messages of goodwill and affection that have been left so far. Royal wedding will cost in one day half what the UK spends yearly on help for the unemployed.
Oh, lovely.
May their long and happy marriage be the last one of the monarchy of the UK. Vast numbers of people couldn't give the tiniest shit. Do I need to do this number 6 once?
Helen Mirren.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, that's
right.
nice. We'd all like to do Helen Mirren, but we're doing a bloody quiz show, mate. That's what we're doing here.
Helen Mirren played the Queen, of course.
Oh, right, yes, yeah.
And here she is talking about John Gielgud on BBC Breakfast News.
So that always inspired me. He always took kind of edgy choices.
Yes, and he swore a lot, as I remember. And
that was well, in that sort of wonderful voice you had.
Exactly.
That was
you
the
little
comedy.
shit.
No, you can't say it. Sorry.
Take that back. That never happened.
No, it was in the original
pre-recorded this time.
If you heard that, we're very sorry.
Back to the map of news.
They're not New Labour anymore. No. I hadn't noticed that. They're going to rebrand.
Yeah, Labour.
Labour Classic.
They couldn't call themselves New Labour when Blair left. It's like when Mike Nolan left Bucks Fizz. They couldn't call themselves Bucks Fizz anymore.
Labour could go with Bucks Fizz. Champagne socialists, but slightly diluted with orange juice. And the Lib Dems, what are they?
I think they're going to sit this election out.
Yeah.
That's probably...
They've got a note from their mother.
Yeah.
I think they'll play the sympathy vote to a certain extent. Just have Nick Clegg topless holding a puppy, just looking into the camera like that.
According to the Sunday Times, what has David Cameron decided to do?
Resign.
No.
Go on holiday.
No, this is about the TV debates.
He's going to debate with Nigel Farage. He's going for the toughest one first.
That's right. Cameron is going to take on Farage. According to the Sunday Times, Cameron wants the TV debates to be in a 2-3-5 formation. So that's Cameron Miliband, Clegg Miliband Cameron, and Farage Cameron Clegg Miliband with Yaya Toure behind the strikers. Thank you for laughing. I don't know what that meant. In other mistake news, why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, this is there's a there's a computer program which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. They sound as if I'm making it up, but I'm not, am I, David?
You're not making it up.
No.
The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from John Mackay Wilson's Tales of the Borders. Poor Janet shuddered at the words which she heard him utter, for with strange and wicked oaths he vowed vengeance on the individual who'd persecuted him, and she flung her anus around his neck and kissed his forehead. From Georgina Bragg's Matisse on the Loose, she grabbed my anus and positioned my body in the direction of the East Gallery, and we started walking. And in the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain who had been one of his comrades in anus. Are there any other words that Google Books scanning technology is confused?
Yeah, it can't do tax.
Yes, it reads tax as free. No, it's burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang Syne.
Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Kevin have this. Big dog and small dog. Let me finish. Let me finish, please.
You're on a roll, I'd leave it there.
Have lovely evening marred as food fails to show.
I prefer big dog and small dog.
Polar machine, get that.
Big panda and big panda.
Apparently the Lib Dems are nearly extinct. Oh, it's too late for that.
And here's a bonus one for you all.
Oh.
The Empire Strikes Bake. We're just bodyguards, don't you think? To protect her from being stolen by Channel 4. They've got Imperial stormtroopers surrounding Mary at all moments. Paul Hollywood, little droid. Mary.
You're having one of your turns again, Ian. You wanted me to point it out the next time it happened, do you remember?
Thanks, sorry.
He gets a nosebleed when he starts dealing with popular culture.
This is the temporary shortage of pigs in blankets at Wetherspoons. It's a worrying sign just 1 week into Boris Johnson's new Britain, and it's not just the homeless that don't even have blankets. Cheer up. Get Brexit done! All disputes with disappointed customers at Wetherspoons have now been resolved. There was just one major sticking point, the carpet.
That's very tacky.
In other news, a Michigan family has been passing down a 141-year-old homemade fruitcake as a family heirloom. According to the Associated Press, Guinness World Records don't have an entry for the world's oldest fruitcake. So, Stanley Johnson, get on that phone. Ian and Emma, take a look at this.
Oh, right, yes. We're back to this.
The tiny violin.
Tiny violin. Ah, yes, that's Zach.
Going into the House of Losers. I mean, sorry, the House of Lords.
This is the fallout from the election.
Yes, this is the aftermath of Boris Johnson's resounding election win.
Zach Goldsmith lost in Richmond, but I think Boris has proved that the first thing you do as a proper people's government is appoint an old Etonian friend of yours into the House of Lords, Nicky Morgan, who was sitting over there last week saying, I've left politics. No, she's a lady now, Baroness Morgan, so she's in the cabinet.
Well, she's Culture Secretary, who will be presiding over the BBC.
Yes.
Will she?
Yes,
she sounds brilliant. Yes, Nicky Morgan said she was leaving politics to spend more time with her young son, but on Monday she was back in government. Though, in my experience, 1 weekend with the kids will do this. She's no longer an MP, so to enable her to remain in the cabinet, she's been made a dame. Appropriately enough, did you see Boris's panto performance in the Commons on Tuesday? Let's have a look.
This Parliament is going to put the withdrawal agreement Friday in the pop tipping, as we say in Wales. Mr. Speaker, I wonder if you can guess what this Parliament is going to do once we put the withdrawal agreement back. We're going to get Brexit done.
I did want to play a drinking game on Newsnight every time a Tory MP said, get Brexit done, but I realised I'd be shit-faced before we finished.
That would massively improve Newsnight, wouldn't it?
It was nice to see Jacob Rees-Mogg sitting up straight, wasn't it?
Yes.
Just that. We haven't seen him the whole campaign. Certain people just disappeared during the campaign, on both sides.
Yes. Well, he underwent a medical and they examined his DNA and they realised he was a total tosspot. with a hint of hazelnut.
Laura Koonsberg had a documentary about the Brexit election on this week. Have a look.
My son looks remarkably like you. I'd just like
Nice to see you.
look.
Oh, nice to see you.
Looks like you could be your love child. My chest now.
Thank you.
Moving on to Labour, Jeremy Corbyn has, of course, accepted total responsibility for Labour's defeat, except for all the things that were nothing to do with him. And he's compelling all Labour MPs to vote against Boris's Brexit deal this week, just so all those ex-Labour voters don't forget.
He said that he won the argument.
Yes, he
That
did.
was his description of what happened in the election.
He said in The Guardian that despite losing, he had won the argument. The argument being, who is Britain's least electable man?
Well, the polls are all pointing to a big Conservative majority, but what might prevent several Conservative MPs from standing?
Is this the electoral fraud?
Yes.
They might be in jail.
They could be.
And technically you're not meant to stand.
They haven't been
From
charged
prison.
yet.
No, they haven't, so
No.
let's be very, very careful. And not suggest that anyone's done anything wrong.
Although they totally did.
Don't look at me, I've been nothing to do with this. I'll come and visit you, but I'm not having anything to do with this.
Lucky 13, Conservatives may be charged with electoral fraud from...
Electrical fraud?
You've been fiddling the meters. The old thing, put in the shilling tide with a bit of string and pull it out again.
This is the news, incredibly, of something more depressing than the outbreak of World War III. The Daily Mail, as always, went to the heart of the matter by printing in-depth analysis from celebrity hairdresser Denise McAdam. This is a brilliant style, one that says, here is a woman who is both feminine and strong, the very traits that make her the only person to lead our country. Ha! You don't need hair to be a great leader. I ask you, who defeated the Borg?
I thought it was John McEnroe, but you may be...
Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
Yeah.
But people still might be sued for telling people that it was him, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. The MP, John Hemming,
yeah,
he said that apparently 75,000 people named Ryan Giggs on Twitter. It's not possible to arrest them all. Well, I mean, it's worth a go, though, isn't it? I mean, well, the thing is, the injunction is still in place.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Despite the people keep going blabbing it out, there's a legal expert, Joshua Rosenberg.
Yeah.
This is what he had to say about it, right?
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who brought these proceedings.
I'm pleased we can say his name, though, because I was getting so fed up. Every newspaper, every day, it was like, Imogen Thomas has been having sexual liaisons with a man who cannot be named. It's like, what, Voldemort?
Yeah.
I sort of see why he did it as well, Ryan Giggs. Because to get the super injunction, he knows that if his identity was known, then people would know not only who he was, but also that his marriage was on the rocks. And at that point, John Terry would be round his house like a sex-crazed whippet.
Yes, the worst-kept secret in Britain is finally out. Lawyers are a complete waste of money. As the row unfolded, thousands of Twitter users named Ryan Giggs in what the Daily Mail called one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in modern times. Top that, Syria, lightweights.